everyone. Welcome to Two and a Half Citizens Podcast. I'm Zen.
It's Pabs.
Ruben.
And let's get right into this. So for starters, I do want to mention we are coming straight off of New Year's. And one thing that I did notice, wasn't it crazy in the state of Texas? We had the liquor stores closed for a total of 61 hours. 61 hours.
For what days?
So this is, they close at 9 o'clock on Saturday night, and then they don't open up until 10 o'clock on Tuesday morning. Because New Year's is on a Sunday.
Yeah.
And they have to close it on the following Monday. It's Texas law. So we have 61 hours of liquor stores being closed.
So are you saying that you stocked up?
I'm saying I'm good. I'm saying I'm going to be straight. That's all I'm saying. Like, I'm going to be good. Like,
bro,
I'll be fine.
Bro, right before we were setting up, this man was telling me how he was like, yeah, man, it was crazy how I had my family and then my wife's family. And it's just like, Ice Kid just came and did a raid,
for
bro.
the holidays.
No, but what I was also saying is that,
and then he was like,
the great thing is that if like sometimes, I don't know if we just started hosting. It's like the first time we've like been hosting events here at the house, and there comes to a point where like, yo, it's been a minute and people aren't leaving, and that's the time where I'm thinking of like calling Ice and just being like, oh,
you don't gotta go home.
Y'all gotta go already.
If Ice wasn't the move, which is hilarious, but realistically, how do you get them out? I never know.
So here's what we do.
How do you get
people
that are overstayed their welcome?
We have experience from a great thing called tailgating in a really big way, where you have a bunch of drunk people leaving a football game, not wanting to leave, not knowing when it's time to go. So what we do is we say, oh, you here? Cool. Everyone help us break down real quick. So we do that. So like we had a bunch of tables because we had a lot more people than we expected. So now it's like we had gotten all these tables and chairs from my dad's house, and he was leaving. So we just said, hey, everybody help us break down these tables and chairs real quick.
So then people would be like, oh, I'm leaving.
Not only do they feel like I'm leaving, they also know they're breaking things down. This party's over. So it puts two things in the future. If you don't want to be stuck breaking things down, you better leave before we start breaking things down.
Now, what do you do with the person that doesn't help break down and doesn't leave?
You tell them, hey, can you do me a favor and grab that table? Hey, can you grab that chair? Like you just direct them in a way to where they understand, okay, like I see what's going on. Like I see what I need to do. And it kind of like, it puts things in perspective without being rude and stuff like that. You start putting food away, like all the cool shit that they would want to be there for. Ultimate thing, turn the music off. If there's no music, people are like, this seems odd. Once there's no more music, there's like, why am I here? You put the alcohol away, you put the food away. People are like, what the fuck am I still doing here now? Like you give them nothing to actually be there for. Now you're just chilling with us at the crib. Yeah, now you're just chilling with us at the crib. But this isn't early on. This is like we've been looking at the watch a few times. We've been like, you know what I mean? It's about that time. You do a yawn. Sometimes you're like,
you start talking about that, man, that's crazy. I got to go to work tomorrow.
Yeah, you say something like, man, I got to be, you make up something you got to be up early for. You're like, damn, man, I'm got to be up for, menudo tomorrow and shit like that. Like, it's crazy. I got to get to the
time.
How about me? I wasn't hosting. But I did I did host for my sister's graduation party. And yeah, man, it was bad. Like, I think. Oh, okay. You know what did happen to me? So my parents live out in the boonies.
Yeah.
And then my mom likes to do things last minute, and she hit us with the last minute. Oh, could I stay at your crib? Like, can we spend the night with y'all so we don't have to drive back? Like literally day of, and I was like, "Are you kidding me?" And
you got to be prepared for that. You got to be prepared for that.
Yeah,
the night, like you got to know that they might, like, if
no, how am I supposed to know?
You're not supposed to know that your parents might want to do that, because there's a certain type of people that do that.
Mm-hmm.
You have to know if your parents are those type of people.
All right, I agree.
You know what I mean? Like,
it's just my parents are so like anything can happen. So it's like, how could I be prepared for everything? Like,
well, then you should have known. Is what Zen is saying.
Nah, fuck that. It's more of like maybe like don't maybe plan your life out a little and.
Well, it's one of those things where it's like okay, because I'm the
give me a heads up.
I'm the complete opposite.
Pablo's mom.
Like I'm the complete opposite, where I don't want to fucking be anywhere else. Like, don't even try that. So like my parents would try to do that a lot. They would like, give us a few beverages and then be like, damn, well, it's probably not the safest for y'all to drive. Y'all should just stay here. We got the guest bedroom there all set and ready to go.
It's just your bedroom.
Sweet.
Right, but it doesn't look like my bedroom at all anymore. So now I'm like, I'm cool on that. So now like me and Alicia pick like, hey, and the podcast was a big help because it'd usually be on Friday nights. And I'll be like, see, the thing is like I got to be up for the podcast. And if I'm not at the house when it's time, it's going to throw my whole schedule out of whack. And I'm going to be even more tired than if I just go home right now. So I'm going to just go home now and be there. So I appreciate it, but it's like.
But I'm going to go home right now.
Yeah. And so then like I'll have to be like, hey, one of us, you, me, like me and Alicia got to have the conversation like, yo, which one of us is driving? Or I'll start drinking. I'll be like, hey, I started drinking crazy. Like you better chill out because you driving. Like it'll be one of those types of things. So like, I don't know. It is a thing though, when you start seeing people like get a little too comfortable at your place. And the thing about it, it's like love and hate situation, because at least that your party was cool enough that people wanted to still stay.
Yeah, when you create that vibe that people are like...
they still want to stay, but at the same time, you're like, how do I kill this vibe? You're like, why are my vibes too strong, bro? Like, what the fuck's going on?
I have to balance between like wanting to stay and then being like, all right, I should probably go.
My whole thing is I always want to go. I want to go to the place until I'm on the way. Once I'm on the way to the place, I immediately want to go home. Like that's kind of my thing.
I feel like, could you imagine though if there was like a public transportation in Houston, like if there was like a subway that could take you home, then it'd be a lot more fun. Because you could get sauce together and then go home, and that's what I really like.
That's what New York's cool for. Like you can be anywhere in the city, and then just like it doesn't matter. Yeah,
be in the sauce while
like the comedy
home.
Community over there is super cool because it's like you can just get shit faced at a show and then just ride the subway home. You may fall asleep on the subway and miss your stop, but
that's a whole nother adventure.
That's a whole different thing,
bro. Tell the people how you got lost in Rock Bottom.
In Rock Bottom, did I tell you the story?
Yeah, about like, you were like, man, I felt like the SpongeBob episode where you get stuck in Rock Bottom.
One time I did fall asleep in the subway, and it felt like that episode of SpongeBob where he tries to catch the bus and it just keeps missing him. Because it was so late that like some trains weren't running, and getting home was the worst thing ever. I never want to experience that again. Don't fall asleep.
Did you get home though? Did you get home?
I got home really
Obviously,
late.
you got home.
We won't even talk.
Well, eventually, but did you have to like camp out overnight and like do some crazy shit like that?
Didn't you like do everything to miss the buses that they were coming?
Did you have to like throw up in the street and risk getting your cigarette stolen or something like that? Or
Nah, nothing like that. Just just missing and stuff like that. But that reminds me, because y'all were talking about like people overstaying their welcome. When in New York, we threw a rooftop party, which was really fun in our apartment because you can access the rooftop, and we lived at the top, so there's no one at the bottom to complain about you stepping. Mm-hmm. So we threw a whole party. We have a whole bunch of pictures.
Damn, he had the penthouse.
Not the penthouse.
No. You just like go to the roof.
No, but meaning if he was on the top floor, though, he was saying he was staying in the top floor.
I was, yeah. But it's a 4-story building.
Oh, bro, you in a mid-rise. You ain't even in a rise. You in a building. Yeah. All right, go ahead.
Exactly. So we're just fine. So just imagine it's just like that type of vibe. Like you're just at the top of like a building, just beers, grilling at the top. Yeah, music playing, people smoking, everybody drinking.
He can't grill inside, bro.
Yeah.
But I've never seen Ruben as the grilling type.
Vibing. I was not. It was my roommate.
I can't imagine. I was about to say, I can't imagine
I was the drinking pretty sauce, like wearing sunglasses in the middle of the night on top of a roof.
Damn, bro, like, did he?
Apparently, I started dancing.
This feels very How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah.
I started dancing. I fell on the floor, and I didn't remember. And I got to work, and I was like, "Hey, did I fall during the party? Like my knee really hurts." They go, "Yeah, you fell hard as hell." And you almost got into they said you almost got into a fight. Someone tried to fight you, but then everyone was like, "Bro, look at him." And also, it's his house, so how are you gonna fight the party like person? But anyway, we were cleaning up, and like everything's like done. Everyone's like leaving. Like, thank you for coming. It was like a housewarming. It was really fun. And then we go to like clean up stuff in my roommate's room, and there's a girl passed out on his bed, like half on, half off. So her legs are on the bed, and she's just like this, like exorcism
Oh, that's
style.
perfect. If her legs are on the bed, you just move her legs off the bed, and then that's it.
No. Only her legs are off. Her whole torso is on. And then we're just like, we didn't see. Basically, this girl fell asleep, but she came into the party. She, like, showed her face for like 5 minutes, and then just went into the room and fell asleep.
What?
And then we took a bunch of pictures with her.
Was she sauced?
Severe? No, I don't. Maybe she came pre-sauced, is what I believe. But she just passed out. We woke her up finally. And it was my favorite line because she goes, "Man, that was a fun party. We need to do it again." And we were like, "Bro, you didn't even participate."
You're like, "Not with you, girl. We will.
Yeah,
we will.
With you.
This will be done again."
Yeah, because we had 3 roommates, and it was one of our roommates. But the one that she was sleeping in was not. She didn't know her, so she was just like, "Who is this person sleeping in my bed?" Like,
so how does it feel? How is the vibe of being with like your roommates in New York? Like because we see it in stuff like Friends, How I Met Your Mother. Like we think that it's like the certain vibe. How is it really? This idea of like living in a small box with
like,
other people.
Is it like college? That's how I picture it. Like,
no, it mostly depends on like the person and how mature they are. But like having college roommates wasn't fun because everyone's broke and kind of childish. And everyone's like dirty and doesn't know how to clean up after themselves.
That is true.
So like that's still a thing when you get older, but you hope that like, you know, everyone can kind of take care of their own stuff. And that's what happens. Like people can. So then it's like, okay, well now we can commingle. It's just like you come home and instead of it being alone, like you got a couple friends that you're just like, do y'all want to do this? Like I have friends coming over. We can. So your friends start to commingle. And it's not that bad. I mean, sometimes you want to come home and just like
be alone and not talk to anybody.
And that's when you just go to your
lock
room.
yourself in your room.
Exactly. And then you come out and you just kind of vibe. You're just like, oh, what are we watching? Like, or what are we doing? Or like, we're making food or like, let's go get this. So it was always nice.
How does dinners work? Because y'all probably don't cook too much in New York, right? Y'all probably just go hit the chicken over rice spot or what?
I cooked pretty often. It just depends. Like you can get food. It just depends, but most roommates are really like you have to be really close because you're gonna see each other a lot. Like it's not like you're gonna see each other, you're gonna overlap, so you try to become friends. It's a cool experience. Like nobody has a house like
you're either close friends or you end up hating the person. Enemies. Yeah.
So how does it work? Like how many restrooms were in that one room?
We had 2.
And there's 3 of y'all.
3 people. Yeah.
So how do y'all get the scheduling right?
It just worked out. Like, I feel like if it overlapped, we would talk about it. I mean, yeah, like it would just, I don't know, it just worked out basically.
I feel that. I didn't go to college like that to where I lived with roommates like that. The closest I did live with Ryan for a little bit. I did live with Ryan, like my friend, and that was interesting. That was interesting when he was there, but then there was a time period where he got a girlfriend and he was never home, which was perfect. It was so wonderful. I was like, this is so great. But then if she'd come over, I'd be like, and then I have to go to my room and shit like that. Like there's just those things, those vibes of like,
bro, you being a piece of shit. Yeah, I feel like Alicia wasn't there.
No, she was there. Like we were together. But that's what I mean. It's like when her and I are together, it's different. It doesn't feel like it's a roommate situation. It's like we will go to our room or we'll be in the living room if no one's in there or we'll be cooking. Like Alicia and I are doing things.
No. Like I'm saying, like maybe he felt that way.
Oh, but that's different because we came in like that. Like this person wasn't somebody. Actually, I'll be real. The difference was that this person had a daughter. So it's like sometimes the kid would make like it was like the girl had a daughter, wasn't his daughter yet. Now they're married.
Well,
but
I do remember that we did have a funny story of trying to find roommates, and it was my current roommate. Shout out, or like not my current one, but the one that I had in New York. It's how we met our third one. It was insane. He got a list of roommates because there's like a website. People messaged him, and it was me and him who were gonna room, and we needed somebody else. And I thought he had one person in mind, and we were gonna meet this other person and see an apartment together. What ended up happening is I show up to the showing, and there's already like 4 people waiting outside. I'm like, oh, maybe this person is like showing it to a large group of people. And I'm like, oh, hey, what's up? Like, oh, we're just waiting for our friend. I go, oh, I'm waiting for my friend too. The guy I'm rooming with comes down and he's all like, oh, hey, nice to meet you, to the other people and me. And then I'm just like, what's going on? He's like, well, basically, like we have this pool of people and we're gonna decide based off meeting them in this encounter.
Yo,
So
was
we're
it like The
viewing-
Bachelor?
Basically, it was
instead of
me
giving
and
them a
him
rose, you give
viewing
them a
an
key?
apartment. Yeah, and it was like 4 or 5 other people like looking at it with us, and we're just like, yeah, this looks good. You like this? You like this? It was the most awkward experience.
That's
That sounds
crazy.
so
That sounds
funny.
insane, bro.
And then y'all had to pick, and then y'all
I
had to
would
pick
hate
in
that.
front of
Pick.
those other people.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah,
like, we
and
like you the
we
best.
did end up pick. Yeah, it was. That's
Were you just
basically
like,
what ended
were
up
you just like
happening.
throwing out scenarios? Like you were just like, so if I were to come home, sauce.
That's how we decided. That's literally it. We're just like, so what do you like do for fun? Like
Yeah.
while you're looking at the apartment, you're just like, you know, people ain't giving you the good vibe, and you're just like, okay.
So if
And
I say
then
the
you
word,
literally discuss after, like, so who'd you like? Who'd you like?
if I say the word January 6th, what's the reaction we're getting here?
So if I say the words "Make America," what is the next thing that you feel?
Oh,
You know what I mean?
man.
What do you think about
Exactly.
Q? Not, and then if they say
In
the
general.
alphabet, if they say the alphabet, like they say like the letter, then you're like, oh, okay, cool.
And you're like,
Yeah.
"You Anon?" Oh,
But we ended up
okay.
getting a really cool roommate. Then we all became friends, and it's fun. We
Finish
still
this
keep in
sentence.
touch.
Vaccines are.
It's funny.
The
Imagine it.
coronavirus was a, and then we just let them figure.
Yeah. Was
That's
it a
funny.
pandemic or a plandemic?
Nice play on words there.
Yeah.
No,
So
I like to
quickly-
hear the stories about gentrification in Brooklyn, though, because you move into an apartment, but the apartment has to have accommodations for people who lived there before. So it's really
Oh,
cool
for
to meet
the squatters'
people.
rights, right?
I mean, not squatters' rights. It's like y'all bought this apartment complex, but I've been living here my whole life. You have to basically allow me to be here until I die or like leave. And so that's a big thing in like New York, where like if you have an apartment, like I think the rent gets capped at a certain amount. So you'll see very old people who are paying like dirt cheap rent for like a 3-bedroom in Manhattan, like some ridiculous. So it's the same thing in like Brooklyn. I think if like they can't fix anything in your apartment, but like they can like it just becomes like it's yours. So they have to have like a certain percentage of the building is like still like, you can't kick everybody out, because then it's just like, where do they go? So it's like, okay, if you're making these new buildings that you're charging people a ridiculous amount for, you're still making money. Like you have to let these people be here. But meeting those people is really dope, because they're all like Hispanic and brown and willing to talk to you. So they're just like, oh man, like it's so funny that y'all pay like this crazy ass rent. Like I don't pay anything close to that. Also, like this place used to be so terrible. Like I remember being a girl here and growing up. She's like, and out my window, like there'd be like old people like masturbating, like homeless people masturbating, like looking up at the windows. And it's like, that's how bad it was. I was like, God damn. And literally people would stop me on the streets, like out of a movie, like, hey, son, what year is it? And he was like, hey, you
The
live
guy just
here?
got out of jail.
Yeah, basically he goes, hey, you live here? I go, yeah. He's like, is this a nice neighborhood? I go, yeah, it's pretty nice. And he goes, damn, like I used to live here like 20, 25 years ago. It was so bad here. And it's just funny to hear like everyone reminiscing at how terrible.
It's kind of
all the
hard to
neighborhoods
find
were.
bad spots now, right?
Can
Like
you-
every
can you
place in New York is
imagine-
getting a little better.
Can
Yeah.
you imagine coming out the pen? It's
Yeah.
like that one Tracy Morgan show, The Last OG, where he like gets out of jail and it's like, what happened to the neighborhood?
Exactly.
Kind of thing. Because I
even-
remember
even parts of the Bronx where I grew up. Now I'm just like, oh, like this is it's still the
Wait, you
Bronx,
grew
but it's
up
a
in
bit
the
more
Bronx?
tame.
Yeah, he lived in the Bronx for a little bit.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Shout out.
I thought you
forget
came out of
PS,
Spring Branch.
something.
I'm mad
He
confused.
came out of you know how you claim multiple things? He claims multiple things too. You claim Boca Chica, you claim
Being poor, you move a
Brownsville.
lot. So
Huh?
yeah,
I
being
said
poor,
being poor, you move
a lot.
I feel that. I feel like I've
So-
since I moved out of my parents, like my only stable time was when I lived with my parents. Ever since then,
Yeah,
I still
The
keep them. I still keep them as my permanent address because I know that's the only thing that's going to stay consistent.
yeah.
the
facts.
Bronx is where I learned English. Spanish was my first language, and the Bronx is where I learned English. I wish I would have kept like the New York accent. Oh yeah, I'm walking here.
Hey, I'm
But, like,
walking here.
It's not even how New York sounds. Like,
Nah,
yeah, kind of sort of.
it's evolved. It's evolved now.
It's evolved, B.
But New York taught me
Because now it's like, hey, yo, be
that
like on God dead
it's a
ass. I got
cold
my
world.
Timbs on, and it's just what it is today.
New
So
York,
it's like you
New
need to
York
get the
taught
fuck
me
out the
early
way.
that it's a cold world.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like a. It
Dude,
was
I
just
remember
like it was. We got like, yeah, man. New York taught me is when I was little. My brother, like my mom, saved up all her money to buy my older brother a bike, and bought it for him in New York.
Nah, don't tell
and he
me.
was
Don't
like,
tell me.
he was riding around like
No.
the playground, and we were all there like as a family, just having fun. And then this little kid, like my brother's age or a bit older, is like, hey, that's a really cool bike. Like, did you get it for like
Nah.
Christmas? He's like, yeah, like I got it. Like my mom got it for me. He's like, oh, like could like I like try to use it? He's like, yeah, man, like you want to try to use my bike? Go ahead. And then the kid
Drove off.
gets on the bike and just pedals away. And it was one of the saddest moments ever. I felt so bad for my elder brother because it's like you just got robbed, and you're
You
about to
gave it to them
get
too.
shit from everybody because you're dumb. But like also like I would have fell for that. Like it's just that's
like,
when I learned like you can't
Don't
trust
fall for that shit.
anybody.
Yeah.
I was like, nah, y'all cold, bro. Like you don't understand. I was like, this wasn't
Just
only
somebody
his
pull
bike,
up
this
to you and
was
say,
our
hey, let me
bike.
catch it. Let me borrow $1.
Nah.
Bro,
I need 25 cents for the lemon ices.
It just reminded me of the Everybody Hates Chris, where he's like, hey, look, dude from across the street, let me hold $1.
Yeah.
And then when like his friend comes and he's like, I just made a friend, and then Chris is like, bro, you just got robbed. What are you talking about?
You just
Yeah, bro. The
wow.
poor stealing from the poor. That one I don't understand.
That one is crazy.
Well, I mean, that's the whole thing.
Or
though,
it's
on the
like
low.
how
or
we-
you look at them because you look. If we're all
it's
at
like,
the bare minimum and you got something, then like
no, but it's like when you get flamed for like when all like the bro people flame you for like wearing fake stuff or like wearing something crazy. It's like, bro, like none of us have it. Like why does it matter?
Yeah.
Like I remember when I first came to the US, my mom took me to Payless and I got fake Converse, and that's when I learned what fake sneakers were. Because I
They're
didn't
not
know.
fake, but yeah.
Well, but yeah, they were like the Airwalk Converse.
well, no, but they're just knockoffs of what they're trying to like. They're not a replica. They're just
Do we
a
all have
knockoff
Airwalk
brand.
stories?
I have Airwalk
I have
stories.
an Airwalk story.
I got
Damn,
Airwalk
Zen.
stories.
No, you don't.
I do know.
Airwalk story.
Well, mine was
Wait,
just.
let me finish, dog.
Go ahead.
So I pull up thinking in my head I'm killing it because this is when like Converse were, I think they were like big at the time. Like a lot of people would wear them.
Yeah.
And then like I pull up, I think I'm killing it at school, and then everyone just goes, bro, those are fake. They were like, look at mine. They don't say All-Star in the back. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
And then I remember I felt like shit. I think I tried to like rip the like bar tag that said Airwalk in the back so then people couldn't say they were fake. And then I did, and they were like, nah, but they don't have like the holes on the side like mine. They're still fake. And I was like, God damn it.
Oh man. They couldn't give it to you.
Yeah,
no, they
give it
wouldn't.
to
They're never
me.
going to. Here's the thing: is I had a really bad experience.
I was like, we all live at this apartment complex, bro. Leave me alone.
I had a really bad experience with shoes in general when I was coming up. Like, especially we didn't have the internet and stuff back then, right? So it's like,
yeah, you didn't know what was cool.
Yeah. So originally, like my dad would only give me shit that in his mind would last long. So it'd be
That's
like
every parent, dude.
Which is annoying because I'd be like, yo, I want to get these. He's like, no, they got white in the bottom. That gets dirty mad easy.
Yeah.
So I could never wear anything clean like that. He'd be like, you got to wear these. They're all leather, so they'll last forever. I'm like, you got me out here in like polo boots. Like in his mind, he thought I was fly.
Bro, wait, that's hard.
Hard now. But as a little kid, you look crazy. Like that was the most annoying thing too. Like picture day, I wanted to wear a fucking dinosaur shirt. He had me in a button-down polo plaid shirt and like boots on, and I'm like, none of the kids think this is cool. You think I look
you're
fresh,
weird.
but I'm like, I look wild as shit. I come out and tell my parents, y'all have me out here. Day? Yeah, y'all have me out here looking like a goddamn tablecloth, dude. Like,
bro, my mom would do the same to me.
She was a mad ridiculous, and it was just
yeah. Like, my mom would do the same to me.
So I had that all the time, right? And so like I would always be in polo, but like none of these kids knew what polo was. So I'm just like
I couldn't stunt.
Like it really wasn't stunting. It really wasn't stunting. So then I remember like the craziest time, like the the Converse were going crazy. And I remember the Converse were going crazy, but the Converse were so old that my dad would be like, nah, bro, like those things fall apart mad easy. Those things are so uncomfortable. Your feet's too wide for them.
Your feet's too wide for them.
He never would buy me.
He was right.
He would never buy me Converse.
You got a wide foot.
He would never buy me Converse. But what ended up happening one time is Lewis had some Converse and then got another pair of Converse and then gave me his Converse. So then that was like the first pair of Converse I ever got. I remember when I was in elementary school, we could only wear uniforms. So like it was red, white, and blue. Everyone looked the same. No one looked crazy. And then middle school happens.
Everything was shoes though.
Well, but that's the thing is I really wasn't on that. So then middle school comes around. And I don't know what to like shop for. Now this is the first time I'm gonna be able to like wear whatever I want. So like I go to JCPenney with my mom and she just goes pick some shit. So I pick like some Arizona shirts and some like
something with like a guitar and a skateboard.
Well, not yet. I'm wearing like just like a button up with like an undershirt and some jeans. And I remember I got these like white and blue K-Swisses, but they weren't like any of the K-Swisses that like people wore that were like cool. They were just some random K-Swisses. And I remember people would talk to me about it and be like, man, and I'd be genuinely confused. Like people were trying to talk shit on like my outfit and stuff. And I'd be like, I just grabbed it from the store. It's what I thought looked cool. You know what I mean? Like it was at the time, like I had no idea what was like cool or not. Yeah. So then I get into middle school. It's the first time I get in there. And this was, so like my mom just spent all this money getting me this random JCPenney clothes that I thought was going to pass. And then I'm looking at what everyone's wearing because what happens is like in my neighborhood was my elementary school. So I knew everyone in the neighborhood. Now we're getting multiple schools come into the same school from different parts. And I'm like, everyone is wearing Abercrombie and Fitch and Hollister. Everyone. I didn't know what it was yet. I had no idea what Abercrombie and Fitch and Hollister was. So I just tell my mom, I go, yo, I don't know what the fuck is going on, but like everyone's wearing Abercrombie and Fitch. Everyone's wearing Hollister. Like, I don't know what the fuck is going on. So she takes me to the store and I go and I'm like, what the fuck is this? It's the first time I'd ever gone to the store. It's dark. I can't see the colors. Dude, I'm not gonna lie. Like I would buy a shirt. I'd buy a shirt. And then when I'd go home, I'd be like, yo, this shit a different color. I couldn't even see the shirt colors right under that light. And
I could smell the store from here.
Yeah, you smell everything. And so I get all these shirts. I'm like, all right, I buy these Hollister and like clean, Abercrombie
fresh.
shirts.
Clean, fresh.
But then I realized the type of people that are wearing these shirts. And I'm like, I hate these people. I'm like, these aren't even my people.
Yeah.
So then I like stopped wearing them after like a week or two. And then slowly but surely would give them to Lewis. Like Lewis would come over and be like, yo, this shirt's hard. I'm like, take it. And he'd be like, yo, this shirt. I'm like, take it. Until he eventually took everything. And my aunt was really weird Christian. Like there's like, okay, like don't get me wrong. I have no problem with Christianity. I grew up with it my whole life. But when they tell you things like, don't wear skulls because it like signifies this. Yeah. I had like the Jesus on the cross in my room and she took the Jesus off the cross because it's like some weird shit. I'm like, don't touch my shit. First of all, if you're staying in my bedroom because you're visiting, don't fucking touch my wall. I used to do it on purpose. I used to put like scary Rob Zombie things and skulls all over the room and say, don't touch my fucking room and make her just live in it. And
you're a piece of shit.
Well, because she was a piece of shit to me sometimes. Yeah. So then one time we were like at Macy's or something and there was this skull shirt or this skull jacket. And my dad goes, hey, this is kind of cool, huh? And I was like, wait a minute. Skulls are on the table? And immediately I switched. I went anti-hero. So like I immediately started wearing any skull item I could purchase, period. I would just wear, as opposed to I'm like, y'all wearing Abercrombie and Fitch shit, I'm wearing just death. And so I just completely like switched. And then that's when I found out like all the skater kids started talking to me because I'm wearing skulls and shit. And then I like completely went that way. Oh, actually, this was like through the worst of this whole part of the story.
Wait, there was a story?
Yeah.
Let me explain. This is the story. This is where the story comes in. Lewis has always had like, shaved like head type, like edge up, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've always had my hair the way I genuinely kind of have my hair. My aunt tells my mom. My aunt tells my mom, hey, yo, you know the spot to get your haircut for the kids for school? Bad Boys. And I'd never been to Bad Boys.
Oh no.
And
what's a Bad Boys?
So we pull up to Bad Boys. And
can you describe the store to us?
I mean, it's a barbershop. It's like a hood barbershop.
All right, but are we talking about like hipster looking?
No, this is back in like this is
no. This is when it wasn't cool.
Because this is off of Bingle. It's not
okay. So kind of in the ghetto, Hispanic neighborhood. How much are you paying? Like $10, $15?
Probably something like
it was
probably
like a $10, $9
way
haircut.
back in the day, because it was like
who was cutting your hair though?
That I don't remember.
What did the person look like?
All I remember is that we just told him the usual thing that we do. Boy had me edged up. My sideburns were fucking pointy. They did the pointy sideburns, completely faded me, and then spiked my hair up.
Were you late for soccer practice?
Dude,
they hit him with the Moco Gorilla too.
Yeah, dude, it was like that.
Yeah.
No, mind you, I was wearing Moco the Gorilla at the time, spiking my hair, but I didn't have an edge up.
Did you look like you were late for soccer practice?
Dude, here's what happened though. I hated myself. I was so disappointed in the way I looked. I didn't look like myself. But this is the first time people are seeing me in middle school. All these new people. Yo, the hood was fucking with me though.
But you pulled up looking like Edgar.
I'm not gonna lie. Like it was the people I didn't want to like. Yo, I'll be real.
He goes, oh, you thought I was feeling you?
All the black girls were trying to holler at me. That just was what it was. And I'd never gotten that type of attention before. And I was like literally shitting on myself. I'm like, bro, they fucked my whole hair up. I'm in the bus. And they'd be like, your hair don't look that bad. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I'll be like, oh, fuck. Like, it was a completely like a culture shock for me. I never felt more Mexican in my life. I almost got into a fight. Like there was just so much shit that happened when I had that hair.
No, wait, that's true. No, wait. Those kind of haircuts do attract like
problems.
It do attract like black Air Force One energy, because I have a similar story in 7th grade. So I used to have long hair, and you guys remember I remember
the swoop Justin Bieber X hair.
Yeah. But like when I was in middle school, I didn't know anything, so it just looked like a helmet. It looked worse in middle school. In high school, it looked kind of better. It would still look bad. Regardless, I had this haircut or like long hair, and then my cousin was dating like this white guy at the time, and he had kind of like the like crew cut, like kind of like David Beckham looking hair, or like he looked like he just quit his boy band kind of thing. And then my mom was like, "Oh, that hairstyle looks really nice. Like you should try it." And then whatever, they all talked me into getting this haircut, not realizing that he is white and I'm Mexican, bro. So when I get this haircut, I look crazy. Like I got the edge up with like the lines and like.
What'd you look like?
It's just I look like an Edgar. No,
really?
not really like I look like the old school Edgars with like I basically look like I was on the soccer team.
I'm trying to imagine this.
Like it was
both
like
y'all with fades.
I had never had like now I have fades, but like it's like a purposeful fade. But back then it was like my very first fade ever. I like basically had I went from having long hair to like having like they buzzed my head with like an edge up. Like I had like the line. Like it was crazy.
And you got a widow's peak, right? So like that makes you shit look even crazier.
Yeah, I looked even crazier because of my widow's peak. So so then I go to school the next day, and this was back when like everyone used to do the fresh cut thing.
Yo,
so like
fresh cut was crazy.
You can't even get away. Like I couldn't get away with it because how the hell I come like on Monday, like Friday I had long hair. Monday with a helmet on, and then Monday I got a shaved head. So everyone
has a helmet on.
Bro, everyone's like, bro, fresh cut. And I remember at the lunch table, they were like, fresh cut. This was, I think, like, looking back on it, this was like, I was like bullied at the school, but like, no, it was bad, bro, because like, I was wearing a hoodie. It was like a zip up hoodie. And then they go fresh cut, and then everyone's like smacking me. And then this guy grabs the hood from my jacket, pins me down to the table, and everyone's just like basically like hitting me. And I can't see anything. And then the only way I get them off is because I push like someone's food like on the ground, and then they get mad, and then they throw. Then the kid tries to fight me, and then just like, and I'm like, no, I'm not gonna fight you. Like I don't want to fight. I didn't want this to happen anyway. So then he throws my food away. But needless to say, bro, those haircuts when you're brown will get you in Black Air Force One situations.
Real talk. God, dude. Dude, we used to get bullied in middle school. That's crazy, dude. Because, bro, oh my gosh, dude. I had a girl hit me one time in middle school. I didn't know what to do. Because, like, how are you supposed to defend yourself? I just threw her books on the floor. I'll be real with you. I threw her books on the floor.
You.
Yeah, she slapped me.
Yeah. Oh my God. What'd you say?
I just threw her books on the floor.
That's when he found Andrew Tate. That's when he found Andrew Tate.
That's when he found Andrew Tate. He's like, fuck, he is right. Some of these women do need to be sent somewhere.
Yo, nah, but like it was wild, bro. Like back then, God. Dude, one time, bro, I got bullied so hard one time. One time, I tried to do my faux hawk, right? So like I had spiky hair for a little bit.
Did y'all have a faux hawk too?
And so
everyone did it. Everyone
well,
did
one
it.
time there was another dude with the faux hawk in class. He was just more popular than me.
So he talked shit on your faux hawk?
I swear my faux hawk looked better. I swear it did. But then we had the whole argument. So then he said, all right, then let's all vote. Everyone in the class, let's vote. And I'm like, bro, you just know you got more people. Like, So they voted. And of course I lost. Bro, I had 3 hairstyles that day. I showed up with the mohawk. After I got bullied into oblivion, I just spiked my hair up. And then I think I just put it down because people were like, man, you just changed your hair up. I just fucking let it go down. It was a sad day. That was a sad day. That's when I also realized everyone was wearing Vans. But my saving grace, middle school was the worst time ever. My saving grace was I start getting Vans or whatever. Cool. I start skating. I start getting into that whole subculture. Now everybody all of a sudden is into SBs. But unless you skate, you don't know where the fuck to get SBs. So everyone's like at Zoomies trying to find a black and white pair of Janowskis. I'm finding all these crazy Janowski colorways on CCS because no one knows what CCS is. Shouts out CCS. All right.
Yeah, we were all sponsored by CCS with the catalog. I remember just like circling things and like.
You know CCS is owned by Foot Locker?
No way.
I watched the whole video on what happened to CCS. Pretty much like originally they had like everyone's backs. Like basically they were just the first one to put a catalog out and start doing online sales. Really like
for skateboarding? For
skateboarding like that. Most places didn't have a local skate shop. So if you're in a big city, you can go to a local skate shop. But if you're just like in the middle of America, you can't just go to a skate shop. So you'd have to order off CCS. Then everyone else caught up. And it kind of was hard to make them like a key player of the game. And they got bought out by Foot Locker. And Foot Locker really wasn't with the culture. It was really just like they lost the culture after that. They really kind of couldn't make.
Same thing happened with Shannon's skate shop, or what was that?
What the fuck happened with Shannon, man? That shit was sad.
I thought Shannon's was
sold out.
Yes, Shannon sold out, and then SB stopped being cool. So I think like the hype beast trend went this way, and they were still going like it.
Well, no, it was a mix.
It like stopped focusing on skating, and it took a turn.
Well,
yeah,
what I remember,
they took the turn with them.
Yeah.
What I remember was
staying with the culture.
Everybody was buying skate stuff there. Like we were genuinely going.
I had like 2 Shannon decks at one point,
and then they just stopped carrying all the cool boards and all the cool stuff, and they just started carrying like Obey and Stussy and shit like that.
Yeah, and I think
I never got to go
shop boards.
And then it was just shop boards and like Stussy and stuff like that. Then that stopped being cool. So no one was really buying the clothes there. So then a Rose Only, which was like a streetwear resell, like basically they resold vintage and they sold streetwear like Bape, Supreme, and like cool shoes and stuff like that. They got a corner of the store to run out of there. And it was popping like that for a little bit, but it really wasn't Shannon's making the money. It was this store that kind of like leased a corner of Shannon's out. And then the whole thing just kind of fell apart. And that was very sad.
All of their reviews popped into the store recently and was very disappointed to see the store is all about consignment sneakers and clothes. Gone are the deals and sneaker selection of the past. I even have suspicions this place has lost its Nike SB account. And then everyone's complaining that you can't sell out. It's been coming here for years for skateboards and grip tape, and now they have neither. Kind of sucks that I now have to go to Zoomies at the mall.
Well, that's kind of sad too, though. Yes, if you're in Willowbrook, you got to go there, but people act like we ain't got geometric. People acting like we ain't got
Geometric wasn't a thing back then.
Geometric wasn't a thing back then.
No, I'm talking about now, like meaning like
back
you
then.
These are reviews from back then. Though.
Yeah,
even Select was pretty new back then. I feel like.
I mean, Select's like. Because I liked Kingpins was around back then.
Kingpin was what happened to Kingpins?
It's just what became a vape store.
No.
Yeah, but they do now. I did see they do. They have resurfaced online. They have resurfaced as an online.
I will
store.
say this: Ruben and I went to Southside Skate Park in Houston, like as adults, and then this is how we realized how broke we were back then. That we thought the admission was so expensive, and you know how much it was?
How much?
It was $10.
That's not crazy, dog.
I know.
But you were going to free skate parks then, and they made you wear a helmet.
No.
And you would have to get somebody to drive you 30 minutes, 45 minutes to a skate park, and our parents weren't about to do that. To then pay $10.
Over my old area, though, we did have a Southside skate shop, though. It's still there, chilling on Westheimer.
Yeah, it is still there.
Southside skate shop.
Southside. And then no, I remember I used to have to beg my parents to drop me off to the metro station so I could go to Ruben's house.
Yeah, that was wild.
And then they'd pick me back up.
Metro bus in Houston, taking that everywhere. I remember I went to an interview when I was in high school, had to take the Metro bus back, and I was dressed super nice, and I didn't even have like $1 to give the guy. And so I just walk in because that's just what you do. You just walk in. And if they say something, they say something. And so the guy's like, hey, you don't got any money? I go, nah, I ain't got $1. I was like, I just need to get home. He's like, all right. That was basically the conversation usually. Like, I don't got it.
I feel like when they were like, I feel like we got away with a lot with that because we were kids. Like if we weren't kids, they'd be like, bro, get the fuck off this bus.
I don't know, man. Cause I would do it in Houston a lot. I was so used to it. It was like a thing. You just go in. If you don't got the money.
Did it too.
It was almost like jumping the turnstile
basically.
in New York.
And I still see that in places like in New York. But you can get away with it in some places. Like you'll put your little card. If it beeps and doesn't go through, you just go in. And most people don't care. I did it in Austin, I remember. And I just walked in like nothing. And it was like I just slapped somebody. Like the whole bus just stared at me. Like, what is he doing? Like they just, they see everybody come in, swipe their card. And then I come in. And then I just keep going. I'm just like, and so the lady's like, excuse me. And I just keep walking because I didn't know she was talking to me. Like, that's how oblivious I was to this. And she's talking to me. And so I turn around. I'm like, yeah, what's up? She's like, you didn't pay. I go, oh, well, I don't have money. She goes, you don't got like a card or anything? I go, oh, y'all take card? Yeah. And I pull out a Bank of America card and I go, do I just swipe it? And she's like, she looked at me like a fucking dumbass and goes, no, like a Metro card. I go, oh, I'm not from here. I was like, I don't have $1. I think it's like $1.30. Yeah. And I was like, I don't have it. And then she's like, well, then you can't ride. And that's the first time I ever heard that. I was just like, this is public transportation to help poor people. You're telling me I can't use it?
Wait, she took you off. Austin is something else, bro.
No, somebody was like, I was with a friend and I didn't know that they did this. And I thought, and he's like, I don't have enough money for you. So I'm just like, how did you tell me to take the bus and not bring money? Because I didn't know. I thought we were driving. Yeah. So it's like, well, I don't have $1.30 on like in change and I don't have a card. So then he ends up being like, oh no, I have money. And then he pays. And I was just dumbfounded. Like, I was like, you got to pay? Like, I mean, I know you have to pay, but it's just like,
no.
I don't have the cash on me.
Houston would never. They would literally.
Maybe it's changed, but back then they were just like, yeah, just go ahead.
Yeah. I remember the people would like, and when it would be like mad late, like they were not going to argue with us.
One of the things, can we talk about the fact that in the Metro Boomin album that had come out,
the one Ruben said was mid.
Yeah, even though it's not, and he has a terrible, like that's completely wrong of an opinion. But regardless, there was a line in there where 21 Savage goes, clutching glizzies with the fellas.
Oh yeah, he did say that.
That sounds
mad
crazy. Because like clutching a glizzy is one thing, but with the fellas,
yeah, that's what Andrew Tate's gonna have to do in jail.
So quickly, I do want to talk about after we've gone through all of our trauma dumping and we've been able to therapize with each other and kind of like finally admit the fact that we've been bullied our entire lives. Well, at least us. Ruben seems like he was all right. Ruben
No.
seemed like he learned through his like older brother and shit like that. So he all right. He's doing all right. But
Be straight.
But for us who were having to deal with the trauma of just being bullied our whole lives, we finally gotten through that. And I do want to I found some very interesting questions that I think will be fun. This is our evergreen episodes. I want to kind of be, I do want topical episodes, but I do want sometimes for us to have just these episodes that we can have and throw up whenever we need to. And I think stuff like this, us talking about our trauma, us just therapizing with each other. And I have some questions for you guys. So you guys tell me what you guys think.
Okay.
All right. You ready?
Let's go.
Let's do
If
it.
you could eat only one type of food for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Mexican food.
No. Does it work like that? Is that what it
That's
is?
what I grew up eating, so like I could keep.
But
eating.
I don't think that it's. I don't think it's like a genre of food.
Pacific.
Like I think it's like a dish.
Like-
What's a dish you could have forever?
These are like icebreaker questions.
Yeah.
This is what I ask my coworkers. I would eat curry. Curry's my favorite thing in the world.
Well, it
I'd
says
eat that.
type of food, so maybe it is. Maybe he's right.
Maybe I thought I was right. Yeah, I thought it was Mexican food.
You be asking your coworkers this stuff to get to know them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Next question.
Okay. How about this one? But if you could only, and by visit, we're gonna say vacation in this point. Like, if you could only visit one place for the rest of your life, wherever it be, like you live where you live, and then like anytime you take a trip, doesn't matter what, it could only be this spot. And you usually travel in everywhere, so it's like it doesn't matter. It's just the one spot you're able to go to other than home.
I got two. Can I get? Can
Is
I
it
No,
a
you get
country?
one.
You give me one.
Yeah.
Anything. It could be another country, but it's
Oh.
one spot. It's like only one place that you can visit. You're not taking multiple trips anywhere. This is the only spot you can go
I
to.
can only count it. And because I can't. I don't want to say something I've never been to. Because that sounds crazy. Because like, what if I go and I hate it? So, with that in my head, I'm gonna say PR. Because
Okay.
when Navarre and I went for our honeymoon, it was like amazing. The food's delicious.
What do you think the
It's
winters are like,
beautiful. They have no winter.
Oh, because they're so close to the equator?
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like the only right answer is Mexico.
That is crazy. What the fuck? I don't go to
Cancun?
Mexico now.
Bro, Cancun?
But it's so
Cancun-
big. If
Cancun
you
is
could only visit
beautiful.
one place, I
Yeah.
feel like you have the beaches on every single side,
Yep.
and then you have the culture of just where your family came from. Like that's why I like to go because you just learn so much about.
Well,
like,
and also,
oh,
like, let's say you want to go to
people.
mountains, so you can go to the north of Mexico, and there's like mountains and stuff.
it's humongous. So if
You
you,
could
could
go to the-
only
you
go
could
to
go to-
one country, I'd go there because of the cultural of the history. That
What about
like,
one city?
we share?
Because country is crazy. That's you
Yeah.
just pick like one city that you
That's
can go
okay. I'll stick with PR.
Because I would go if it's just city. I'm going New York because you have a lot of different cultures there. You have public transportation.
Yeah,
You have a lot of the scenes of like fashion's crazy there, comedy's crazy there. It's not like LA as far as like movies and television like that as much, but you do have a lot of that there. You have like multiple boroughs you can visit, and every borough is like a different city.
Could
like
you name all the boroughs?
Let me see. So we got Manhattan. We got Brooklyn. We got Tribeca's in Brooklyn. We have Brooklyn. We have the Bronx. We have Staten Island, and we have
Queens.
All right. Yes, correct. What did you say? Where's Tribeca?
Isn't Tribeca in Brooklyn? I could be wrong, but Jay-Z talked about it, so I thought it was.
No.
He said in that one New York. Oh, it's a bridge away.
Wait, what
It's
about
a bridge away.
What about you? You didn't hit him with your Gossip Girl knowledge. Upper East Side.
Yeah, that's where the because the steps they be sitting on is the Met, right? They just be sitting on the Met.
Yeah. Alexis took a picture there.
I like the
there's
Met.
a bunch of people. If you go to the Met, you'll see a bunch of people take a picture at the steps. And I'm like, what is this? Like, it's Gossip Girl. I'm like, oh, I didn't watch it.
I
But
love
it's
Gossip
cool.
Girl, dog. You know, the new Gossip Girl. It's on HBO Max right now. Watch the new Gossip Girl. Not nearly as good as the original Gossip Girl,
Never is.
but interesting.
Have you guys
Interesting
seen that they're
nonetheless.
gonna remake the '70s show?
Yeah, that '90s show seems crazy, bro. Did y'all see the trailer? Did y'all see the trailer?
I saw
though?
the trailer.
Did you see the trailer?
It didn't look good.
I thought it did look good. I kind of like So what they're doing in this case,
I'm
they
surprised
basically
you
just
think
bring the
this
kids.
because it feels like I feel like they like add this. Well, no, because I think they only have one token minority
In what?
in the show. Like they had like I saw like an Asian kid. It just seemed like I don't know. I
mean, Wisconsin's a very white place.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like that's why like they had to have like their one token.
I mean, I didn't see it. It didn't look like everyone just all of a sudden turned like black and shit like that. Like it didn't look like when iCarly got rebooted, it was like Freddie's kid was black, which I was like, all right, that's fine. Her roommate was black and lesbian, well, bisexual, and like it was just like everybody had to be a different character, which is like cool. Like, yeah, people could just intermingle like that, but it just seemed forced, and that's what I've been noticing. And actually, I want to talk about this. That's what
the trailer felt like to me for a little bit.
Into going into the final topic that I want to like even bring up as something here. So, for starters, it is this idea of if you give a movie an identity like that, then you put it in a box. I forgot who was saying. I just saw a headline about somebody talking about the term black movies shouldn't be used because then you put it in a box. Because now people aren't just looking at it as a good movie or looking at it as like they're put it in this box of like black movies. Same thing with like LGBTQ movies when you'd see those like on Netflix. Bros did terrible because they put it in a box as opposed to just basically being like, this is a funny movie comedy. This is a funny romantic comedy. Watch it, and it just happens to be about something.
Yeah, I agree.
Same thing happened with like the LIQOUR film, right? The LIQOUR film bombed, and apparently there was a lot of forced inclusion in that as well, animated, I guess. But sometimes that like happens where people are reaching. But how about when people are reaching? Like the Avatar: Way of Water movie came out. I haven't seen it because I didn't watch the first one. I don't give a fuck about Avatar like that.
People are mad about the blue face. No, I'm just kidding. It's not. No. Well, no, it's they said they appropriated native culture, but it's like, bro, they're like aliens.
What do we feel about this fake spot? I mean, I don't know. I don't understand who, because it's never the people. It's never the natives.
Yeah, exactly.
Being like, yo, y'all are like making me feel unseen. What a lot of people don't see, and this kind of pisses me off, and a lot of minorities have talked about this. Minorities want representation. They've never felt a lot of the times like they have representation in mainstream culture. Mm-hmm. So Akash Singh talked about this in his Bring Back Apu special, where it's like Apu was representation for a lot of people of like, yo, this is a person who came, built the American dream, owned their own business, and overcharged white people. That's the dream. You know what I mean? And people felt like they had representation. Sometimes I do feel like it could be in mockery, but then you see like Kumail be a superhero, and when you see that, you're like, oh shit, like I don't gotta just be the tech person. I can actually be like a superhero. I could be represented in different ways. But a lot of times people want their culture represented, and a lot of people don't know their culture. And the second that people bring their culture up, it's appropriation, and that doesn't really help anybody.
Yeah,
I really think that this whole cultural appropriation conversation doesn't help people be represented. It doesn't help people learn about other cultures. How are you going to learn about other cultures without seeing it or without somebody portraying it in a way? Yeah. You know what I mean?
But they're portraying it in the wrong way. Like imagine all the kids that like were with us in middle school and like would like look at an Asian person and be like, hey, ching chong. Like that's all from our own stereotypes. Same thing with like every other culture. I think it's completely fine to just be like, this is what people are like. And then I feel like now it's done better. Like you mentioned, like he was a superhero. That's why we kind of look up to it.
I think Crazy Rich Asians completely changed the stereotypes for Asians.
I think it's been like a work in progress for them. Like Asian people, you know, come with very like affluent parents, or at least like more affluent than like most. And so they're able to give their kids a better life because they had a better education. So you have kids who are coming up who have, you know, really good jobs, a place in society that their voice can be heard. And so they push like, hey, this isn't how we are. Show us in the light that we're in.
But I also have never really seen too much backlash. I've never seen too much backlash from them. Like, I feel like by what I see, the Asian community is okay with like sometimes making fun of themselves or like, you know, making fun of other people.
Well, it's
or
like the thing, like you can make fun of Roman, but like if someone randomly makes fun of Roman,
basically
like,
you don't see other than when stuff happened with Corona, because that was a whole completely different type of situation. You never really saw Asian people get offended over like the way that they're represented. At least I never did. Like in school, I wouldn't see that a thing. You would never hear anybody be like, "Oh, is it because I'm Asian?"
Their culture is just more soft spoken. Like that's how they're brought up. Just like,
but even the kids who were like, I definitely knew a lot of Asian kids that were more out there, were more different. I also feel like,
I don't know. When I talk to Asian kids, they would just be like, "Yeah, man, it sucks talking to Hispanic people because they all think you're Chinese." And like they'll just be like, "Oh, like ching chong, this and that," and like, "Oh."
Yeah, but that's only because for us, everyone thinks we're Mexican. We deal with the same thing, except for everyone just thinks we're Mexican. No one knows about the different cultural differences of other Hispanic cultures, and most Asians don't. And the difference is that our racism within our own cultures run deep, but theirs runs even deeper. Which is another thing too. Is I don't think that they can get mad at Americans for being racist towards them, when on the low they're racist towards like other Asians very heavily. Hispanics are like that too with like other Latin or Hispanic cultures, and that's kind of why like they understand that. They're like, well, on the low we don't like Koreans, so like I can understand why people might not like us. Vice versa with like us, we don't ever, if you're Mexican until someone says otherwise, and if you say otherwise, you're a little wild for even trying to differentiate. Which is like, I feel like we're closest in that regard. People look at us and just think we all eat tacos. Some people eat arepas, dog.
Well,
some people are out here.
You got to simulate it with Katie.
Back.
Dog, I've been.
I told you, Katie's full of Venezuelans, dude.
They got it, dude. Like,
Venezuelans runs with Katie now.
One of the best hamburgers.
Have you been to El Kermit?
Nah, dude. There's a truck. There's a truck right here, bro. Bro, this is different.
Venezuelans took over Katie,
I might be claiming a different Hispanic culture.
You heard it here first.
I think it's just wanting to take your narrative back. Like, it's like, let me show you what my culture is about. Let me show you the cool things, the music, the food, everything. It's like I would want the same thing. And I feel like that's what's happening now with like Hispanic culture and just brown people. It's like, oh, we have dope music. We have all of this. Like, let us show you.
But it ain't Mexican, though. Notice that.
It ain't never the Mexican but it's music. Like, but if they can't differentiate the difference, then it's like, well, maybe through our media,
that's like, what I think too. So Mexicans are like the most, like we look at the Mexicans the most, and in the same way we look at Chinese as like as the Asian. We just think Chinese is Asian. But when it comes to like culture, and I think it's like it breeds from struggle and from like wanting to be seen, and the cream rises to the top. I mean, right now it's like Puerto Rican music and I guess Colombian, like all these artists are obviously not Mexican, and all of the Asian artists that are making huge splashes in America are all Korean. It's like Korean culture is the one that's like really running the Western world as far as like BTS, all these other K-pop groups, like,
or even like their soap operas.
Yeah, like all that stuff.
Like they're all on Netflix.
Squid Games, wasn't that Korean?
Yeah.
Was it something else that's Korean and
barbecue?
Well, yeah, but you may know, but Doge's the dog is actually Korean.
Oh, no shit.
And there's been a recent story that he's sick. He's pretty old. I think he's like 15 years old, like actual years.
Damn. Oh, the actual Doge dog?
Bro, what if when he dies,
he may not make it this
What
year.
If when he dies, the coin just automatically goes to zero?
Or
well, that's why I wanted to get Doge Zen's,
my thing is, there's nothing more scarce than death.
What do you mean? It happens every day.
Are you buying or
meaning? I'm buying before he dies, because the second them dies, scarcity. You won't be able to get any new Doge pictures. It's like the lore of what the Doge was. Boom. Now the Doge isn't around to ruin its own legacy. Do you notice that's kind of one of the biggest things that happens nowadays? It's like, unfortunately, people are afraid to give flowers to the people that are still here because you still might be able to fuck your legacy up. So like the big argument is like, if R. Kelly died in 1999, legend. He wouldn't. All these stories would come out, but he wouldn't be here to defend himself, so no one would really like.
Think it'd be more like a Michael Jackson kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly like that.
You either
like
die the hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
right.
Batman.
And so now if Doge, unfortunately,
Where's
RIP,
Rachel?
at a certain point, that's when it's like Doge can no longer mess up its own legacy.
It's a
Buy. It'll only go up. You don't want to sell. You never like even think about it. Like, okay, think about if you had like a baseball card from a player that died. It still seems to hold some sort of sentimental value, even if you don't care about it that much. It's just one of those things where like you got to hold on to this because RIP my boy. You know what I mean?
No.
I don't know where you're going with this, but I want to going back to kind of what we were talking about with like the different cultures and stuff. What do you guys think about
every artist who dies, their music goes up 10x?
Yes. What do you think? I always have this argument with my brother-in-law where it's like he really liked this show on Netflix, Hentified, and I looked at it and I felt like it was just like yes, it was like Hispanic culture, but it was also more like forced. Like it was, I don't know. It didn't.
I get what you mean. I had the same feeling about the show This Fool. Have you heard about that one?
No, but
it's on Hulu. Watch it. It's a similar feeling.
It just felt forced and like it didn't feel like. I want to watch a show like George Lopez. George Lopez was just a sitcom that had just happened to have Mexican things in it. You know, like you didn't watch it because you were like, oh, this is like a Mexican show. So that's one thing. That's one thing like that I was telling. Like that's always
you feel like that with On My Block or what?
That was my argument with him. That it was like, if the art is good, I'll support it. Like then I'll like really get behind it. But I'm not just gonna support it because it has representation. Like if the art is not good enough, then what's the point of me watching?
Hollywood does that a lot, where they're just like, oh, here is a person to appease you or to be the voice that we think is what you are.
And I can
then
see
you start
through
to
it.
see actual people who are a part of the culture and know it create something, and you're like, this is actually what it's like, and this is what I want to see.
I think the prime example would probably be like Bad Bunny with that Japanese shit, right? It's like he made just something so good that people who don't even subscribe to Japanese culture like that are like, I gotta figure out what the fuck this is saying. I feel like anime did that for like a lot of black kids who were really into it. It's like, I don't know what this is, but this art is so good that I have to learn about the culture in order to fully understand and feel like I'm immersed in this.
Yeah.
Which I think is actually super cool, which I think is right. You're right. Which is, I think, the biggest problem that's been happening with things like Bros and stuff. You're making things for that culture and you're hoping that culture is going to engage in it and it's going to be enough to like make it. But really, you just have to make something so good that includes it that people are forced to learn about it because they want to know. They love this so much, they want to know what like the origination of this comes from. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
It makes you want to do more research, figure it out.
Yeah,
I think the media is in a tailwind of just creators coming out of the woodwork whose voices we actually want to hear. And so that's why you start to see all these niche groups start to have like more of a voice where it's like, hey, this is actually what we sound like. Can you put a microphone to this person's voice? We want to hear what they have to say because they are a better representation of us as a group. And that's where you start to split off, where it's like, oh, well, now this person actually doesn't represent us well enough. Maybe we can get another voice to represent us better. And that's where you start getting different people. And I feel like the people who are kind of fake or not good start getting pushed out, and they just are never really embraced by the community because it's just like,
right now we have things like the internet that really help you build. How
about the show Wednesday? I, for the longest, had no idea that the Addams Family were like Latinos. I didn't know.
Gomez?
Yeah, I mean, I never watched it. I just knew what it was. I never really like watched it or paid attention. But it's like,
wait, so the OG ones were Latino?
Yeah, all of them.
They were always Latino?
Yeah.
I thought their last name was
never knew.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, exactly.
His first name is Gomez.
Yeah, his first name is Gomez.
I guess.
No, but like,
that's crazy.
So that's a great show where it's like, it like, you know, it kind of like brings it together, but it doesn't try to pander to me, you know? And then you're like, oh, this is just cool. Like,
shout out Jenna Ortega though.
You.
Yeah, exactly. It's not force feeding me this thing that I like, you know?
Yeah.
Shout out that show though. That's such a good show.
That show's great.
Shouts out Jenna Ortega for her self-choreographed dance routine. That prom dance routine, she did it herself.
Yeah, that was a good show. That was fire. Can't wait for season 2.
So everybody watch season 2 of Wednesday when it drops. Watch Gentefied and let us know if you feel like you're being pandered to. Check out this fool. If you're into appropriation of the indigenous, go ahead and watch Avatars: The Way of Water.
I also don't have 4 hours to give to something.
You got to help them make their money back, bro. They spent hella money on that movie.
Well, that's their fault. If you a chump, you a chump.
We'll tell you at the STR Theos that we out here being reckless, speaking for them, speaking on behalf of them. And we'll see you next week. Spoon feeding you,
forcing you,
information mansplaining,
forcing you to learn about Hispanic culture.
And we out. Bye.
See ya.